This is the Lancer Locker Show on KYNT. Now, let's talk some Mount Marty University athletics with the coaches, as well as your host and the voice of Mount Marty University athletics, Tel Tanner.
Back in the booth on another Monday here for the Lancer Locker on KYNT. I'll tell you what, we had one heck of a weekend here in Yankton as the Mount Marty Lancers pick up the biggest win in their young history, defeating the number 7 team in the nation coming into this week's 3-0 are the Mount Marty Lancers football program. They beat number 7 Northwestern 24-14 on Saturday. That was one heck of a thing, I tell you what. So we got John Michaletti coming on the show a little later. We actually already had him in as they're practicing, or as this show is airing. A little earlier today, had him in, as well as Joe Chicks, who is the head women's soccer coach. We wanted to get an update on the soccer program as we turn to the Lancer Locker. So we'll start it off with Joe Chicks and the women's soccer program at Mount Marty University. First year head coach here for the Lancers. Well, first year as the Lancers head coach, a plethora of experience as a head coach. He has been a very successful soccer coach his entire career, and we're going to talk a little bit more with him up next. We're going to go through our schedule for this week in review, take a break, come back, and talk with him. But I definitely enjoyed that talk earlier today. Had him in the booth as they're also practicing right now. Anyways, let's go through their season to this point. The women's soccer team is 3-3 overall. They just finished up non-conference. Now, last year, this team won 4 games total, 4 games throughout the whole season. They've won 3 games at the end of non-conference. They start GPAC play Saturday in Mitchell, 7:30 p.m. kickoff for the women's team. So we'll talk a little bit more about that this week, as they also played. They did fall in a road matchup Saturday, 4-2 down in Bellevue, Nebraska to Bellevue University. Alexia Valdez and Camille Bennett scored each for the Lancers, with Avery Kimball picking up an assist. Brooklyn McNack recorded 15 saves, by the way, in the loss. It was impressive. The Lancers are back on the road this Saturday once again. They'll face Dakota Wesleyan. The Mount Marty men's soccer team, by the way, they did get a win on Saturday. They defeated Crown College 3-1 over in Minnesota. Zach Hebba and Oliver Danzer scored the opening 2 goals for the Lancers, both assisted by Lucas Amaya. Samuel Badma sealed the 3-1 win with a penalty kick with under 10 minutes to play. The Lancers are back on the road Saturday. They face Dakota Wesleyan and Mitchell once again. They'll be the front half of the doubleheader. Kickoff scheduled for 5 o'clock. Mount Marty University volleyball, they fell on Saturday. They're now 6-6 on the season. They were beaten by Doane 3-1 down in Crete, Nebraska. The Lancers took set 2 of this match, 25-23. The Tigers won the other 3 sets, 25-23, 25-18, and 25-20. Jaya Waholtz posted 13 kills for Mount Marty University, followed by Caitlin Gunther with 10, and Julia Weber had team high in assists with 33. Digs 17, blocks 5, and aces in 4 for Julia Weber. The Lancers are home Wednesday night. They're going to face Hastings in the Simple Arena. First serve is set for 7:30, and we will have all coverage of that game right here on KYNT and KYNTV beginning at 7 o'clock. I will have the call of that action myself on Wednesday. And let's also take a moment and go through cross country and golf. The Mount Marty cross country placed 4th in the men's division at this past weekend's Sunflower Open over in Sioux Center, Iowa. The Lancers were led by Joseph Cross, who finished 3rd in the event, and then a former Lancer, Logan Ferrari, competed as well. He won the race, competing unattached. For the Lancer women, it was Alexis Gosh, who was 41st, and Lily Whiteshirt was 47th. Next up for MMU is the Wildcat Open, which will be on Friday in Wayne, Nebraska. In golf, the women's golf team is going to be opening tomorrow at the Siouxland Invite down in Orange City, Iowa. Over in Orange City, Iowa, they'll be playing at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And the men's golf team, they've actually played today. They played at Briarcliff University over in Elk Point, South Dakota is where they were at, playing Briarcliff. That was this morning. We'll have results tomorrow morning here on KYNT's Totally Yankton with Jeff Erickson. And with that, let's turn back to football, as once again the Lancers are 3-0. They beat Northwestern College on Saturday, top 10 team in the nation. Quarterback Rugby Riken threw for 241 yards and a touchdown in the win. Malachi Hartz and Jameer Pearson both found the end zone in the rushing game as well. On the defensive side of things, it was Arthur Oliver leading the Lancer defense with 2 interceptions, with his second sealing the game with 1:47 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Lancers are now 3-0 with the win, facing Briarcliff Saturday. The Catholic Cup will be on the line again. Kickoff from Crane is scheduled for 6 o'clock. All right, that's a little bit of an intro for our Lancer Locker show tonight. With that, we're going to take a break, have our 2 interviews. Coach Joe Chicks up next, and John Michaletti in the booth a little later in the show. Good evening on the Lancer Locker. We'll take that break, come back, go straight to women's soccer and Joe Chicks right after this.
Aztec has some hot job openings right now. Aztec in Yankton is now seeking employees for all shifts for the following positions: welder, industrial painter, and machine operator. A career at Aztec offers competitive pay, 10 paid holidays, incredible 401k, paid parental leave, safety incentives, and sign-on bonus for production workers. To apply for these jobs or see what other opportunities are available, go to aztecjobs.com. Aztec, built to connect from rock to road.
If you want a job where your work matters, you belong at Avera. Here, we've invested in our workforce because every Avera team member drives our health ministry forward, making a difference in lives and communities every day. We offer competitive pay, great health insurance, and even career opportunities. We're putting people first, including you. Search for local job openings and apply at avera.org/careers.
Football season and Shiner Bock, 2 traditions that never get old. Brewed smooth and full-flavored, Shiner Bock is always game day ready. Whether you're tailgating before kickoff, grilling with friends, or watching under the Friday night lights, Shiner Bock is the perfect call. This season, celebrate every first down and every touchdown with the beer that's built for football season. Pick up Shiner Bock today and make it part of your game day tradition.
Small businesses are the backbone of our community. CoreTrust helps your business thrive with checking, online bill pay, small business loans, credit card processing, local approval and support for government grants and loans, investments to grow your hard-earned assets, and insurance to protect them. All from CoreTrust, the community bank that's right down the street and everywhere you want us to be. Visit CoreTrustBank.com today.
Member FDIC.
Long day, good day, either way, Yankton Pizza Ranch makes it easy. Our buffet is always ready with fresh pizzas, mouth-watering desserts, and the country's best chicken. No waiting, no stress, just grab a plate and enjoy. So when you need comfort made simple, make today a buffet day at Yankton Pizza Ranch. Buffet every day from 11 to 8.
It's where life tastes better. Surround 'em up and head her down to the Pizza Ranch. Whoa, that's good.
Slumberland Furniture is your local destination for top brands like Lazy Boy, Ashley, Flex Steel, Tempur-Pedic, Sealy, and more. Carrying a full range of mattresses and furniture for every room in your home, you'll find styles you'll love at values that make sense. From everyday essentials to name brand comfort, Slumberland offers the selection, and their service goes the extra mile. Visit Slumberland Furniture, 2401 Broadway in Yankton, where helping you create a comfortable home is what they do best.
All right, back here on the Lancer Locker on this Monday evening. It's turning into now alongside the head coach of the Mount Marty women's soccer program in Joe Chicks. New head coach this year who has already got 3 wins under his belt. Lancers had a total of 4 wins in the women's soccer program last year. This off to a pretty good start to the season, Coach. Can you tell me what's led to the early success going 3-3 to start it off?
I think the beginning is just our commitment to kind of trust the process and our standard, and our leadership. I think is the big thing. They put in a lot of work. The first 2 weeks we were doing a lot of 2-a-days, and I know they're tired and feeling it. So, I just think setting that standard was the big thing, and them buying in.
Now let's talk about you a little bit, as it is maybe your first time talking with me here, certainly to Lancer fans. Let's talk about your coaching history, because you've certainly got a little bit of experience. So can you walk me through, first things first, Where'd you go to school? Did you play soccer? Like, walk me through your history.
I went to Clark College, played a little bit, and then I went to Washington State University, finished my degree, and then, but really I just come from a long family of coaches. So, my grandpa's coaches, my dad's a coach, my brothers are coaches, so it's just kind of in the blood.
Gotcha. And you were head girls soccer coach at Hawkinson High School as well, which you led the Hawks to 68, 32-3 record over the couple years that you were there, which is very impressive.
Yeah, they had a long tradition of successful high school program there, and I think we had 2 or 3 academic state titles there too. So it was a great program, both athletically and academically.
Lower Columbia, you were there for quite a while coaching. You were named the NWAC West Region Coach of the Year 4 times as well, which is pretty cool. And it seems like a 4-year span as well, just 4 straight years from 21 to 24.
Yeah, definitely proud of that too. I think, it was similar. That program was in a similar situation. I think Mount Marty was, in that it had all the things there that needed to be successful, and it was just kind of getting to turn the page and getting your program going, and they really did. They had all the boxes to check to be successful, and we were able to do that.
So at Lower Columbia, you won 3 consecutive NWAC West Region Championships, back-to-back appearances in the Final Four as well in 2022 and 2023. You certainly had some success, all leading you here to Mount Marty. So let's talk about that switch and that lead to Mount Marty. What was it about this program that made you want to say Yankton's the spot for me?
I think the athletic director, Andy Bernardo, had a big impact on my decision. He was relentless and also, very supportive and allowing me to take the time to really try to think about it and make the decision and provide, any questions I had. I'm an ambitious coach. I was looking for an opportunity and just wanted to find the right one. And after, long talks with Andy, it seemed like the place to be for me.
So when we talk about the season itself, let's turn to this season. You had told me before we turned on the mics that you wanted to give them kind of a difficult non-conference to get them ready for GPAC play. That's now in the books. Your first GPAC game comes up this week, and you went 3-3 in the non-con. How do you think your team really performed?
I think they performed well. I think the big thing is just learning how to win those tighter games. So. We challenged them, like you said, in the beginning with Benedictine, our first match. And for, all but 5 or 6 of these players on the roster now, none of them have university, 4-year university playing experience. So to just show them that what's out there and where they need to get, I think was the big point we're trying to get across. And I think that the message was well received. So.
When you finish that Benedictine College game, you then go play Dakota State University, a team that Mount Marty obviously knows very, very well up in Madison, and you win 6-0 in that one. That was when you get your first goals, you get your first win as the head coach here for the Lancers too. That had to be nice. Yeah,
it was nice, and it was Dakota State's first inaugural game for their women's soccer program, but honestly, they're a competitive team, and you kind of see some of the results they're having against other GPAC teams, and they're right there. So a 6-0 win for us was a great win for sure.
And then you get to come back and play at Crane Youngworth Field. Now, I know you only had 1 game at home in your non-conference schedule. You're kind of road warriors there. But what was it like seeing the home stadium for the first time there in a 2-1 win over York back on August 30th?
Yeah, it was exciting. It's nice to be home. We've traveled a lot, so I'm looking forward to some more of those home matches, but that was great. Crane Youngworth's a great facility, and we get a little home field advantage because the pitch dimensions are a little bit different than most. So we get to train on it, so we'll be prepared.
It gives you a little bit of advantage. Can you walk us through a little bit of that, how the different size there on the football field at Crane kind of can give you a little bit of advantage because you'll be used to it and your opponents won't?
Yeah, it's definitely narrow. So, and to be honest, our teams like to use the full width, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, if you'd say. So, but we're definitely getting used to it. In the first few trainings, you could tell like our players were struggling to grasp how narrow it is. But now that we've been out there, consistently, we feel that it's an advantage for us.
Let's talk about your coaching staff. You had kind of mentioned your strategy just a little bit there of using the whip. So let's talk about the guys implementing it. You are obviously head coach here. Joe Coleman, Lancer fans will recognize him from last year. Bob Ludall came in with you, and then a grad assistant in Sebastian Aguero. Can you tell me about this staff and what everybody kind of brings to the table?
Yeah, well, Bob Ludall, he came with me. We've been coaching together for over 20 years, so we can almost finish each other's sentences when it comes to how we coach and how we do things. But he's also, the head recruiter. He does a fantastic job of finding the players that fit our system and what we like, and kind of initiating, getting them on board. So he's fantastic. I think second to none in that department. And then Joe Coleman, me coming here from so far away and not really knowing the area or the team or how things operate, he's been great just with the transition. And he's been here a couple of years now, so he can kind of point me in the right directions and some of those questions I might have regarding the program, the school, and the town. And then Sebastian Aguero has been working with our goalkeepers, and he's been done an amazing job. Brooklyn McNack is one of our captains, but she's been our goalkeeper for the most part, waiting for our other goalkeeper to heal up. But Brooklyn's been fantastic, so Sebastian's doing a great job too.
So let's walk through some of the roster here and some of your players that when Lancer fans, you start playing a little more home games in this GPAC schedule when they come out to see them. Who are some names in the soccer program that Lancer fans are really going to get to know this year?
Well, I hope, hopefully not Brooklyn McNack too much. Hope she doesn't have to make a ton of saves, but she certainly can, and she's definitely an instrumental part of how we like to build up and play the ball with our feet and build out of the back. But Riley Grimm had a hat trick against Dakota State. I think the first one in program history, so that was pretty cool. And she's definitely a dangerous player. Alexia Valdez is, she was one of the top scorers in the NWAC last year in the junior college conference, and she's off to a pretty good start. She's got 4 goals already. And, and then Alyssa Rios she's probably played the most minutes in the back line as a center back, and she's top notch. So we definitely got a mix of players, and I think overall just the whole leadership package we kind of got a 4 captain crew going on right now with Brooklyn McNack, Kendra McKinney, Alexia Valdez, and Riley Grimm, and they definitely are helping the vision, and change is hard, so they're doing a great job.
Coach, let's talk about the schedule now. That first conference game coming up this Saturday, you got to go to Mitchell, a rivalry game to start things off. It'll be your first taste of the Dakota Wesleyan Mount Marty feud there. Saturday in Mitchell, 7:30 p.m. What can you tell me about the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers that maybe you've noticed so far?
I noticed that, I like the way they play and their style, and they try to build up, and, they're not as direct as a lot of teams you see, so I've got a lot of respect for that. They try to use the ball to do a lot of the work for them, and the biggest thing I think for us is we're the same style. We like to build up and use the ball, but the going out on the grass is going to be new for us this year. We've been out at Crane Youngworth for most of our trainings, and we're in the field house, so getting out on the grass this week to try to prepare for Dakota Wesleyan.
That'll be good. And then let's talk about the upcoming home schedule. The next 2 games after this will both be at home, starting next Wednesday, the 24th, versus Midland, and then Dordt University next Saturday at Crane Youngworth Field, 7:30 p.m. The football team's got the bye that week, so you get it all to yourself versus Dordt at home. Can you give me a message for Lancer fans to come out and support?
Yeah, we're gonna need it. I know Midland and Dordt definitely has some dangerous players. Midland actually has a former player who used to coach over at Lower Columbia College, and Natasha Blaylock. She's extremely fast and dangerous on the counter, so we're going to need all the support we can get there for sure. And I know, obviously, Dort's got Karina Tell, the reigning conference player of the year, and she's a weapon itself, so we definitely love all the support.
Well, Coach Chicks, thank you very much for your time today. I loved the start of the non-conference, and I can't wait for the start of conference play on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you. Go Lancers.
Go Lancers for sure. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
This is the Lancer Locker here on KYNT. With that, let's go ahead and take a break, and we're going to go back to talking Mount Marty University football. John Michaletti in the booth when we return. This is the Lancer Locker on KYNT.
Craving a sip of sunshine? Meet Surfside, iced tea, green tea, or lemonade. Real flavor, real juice mixed with vodka, but only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and absolutely 0 bubbles. Whether you're into peach tea, mango green tea, or strawberry lemonade, Surfside brings the party, smart and smooth. It's like sunshine in a can with adult approval. Must be 21 or older. Surfside, 0 bubbles, all vibes.
Hey, son, can you hand me that vice grip?
As any farmer or rancher knows, having the right tools in the toolbox is important. That goes for your ag lending as well. If you're considering expansion, restructuring debt, or purchasing equipment, call Dakota Mac. We have a toolbox full of lending solutions to help you with your ag financing needs.
Hi, it's Jeff Wolfgram from Dakota Mac. Call us at 800-682-4578 to learn how Dakota Mac products can work for you.
Lucky for us, life is full of choices, big and small. They define us, make us who we are. And when it comes time for you to choose, a car, home, your next big adventure, or start a new business, Farmers Union Insurance has the variety of coverage options to protect each perfect moment. Farmers Union Insurance.
For coverage you can count on, call Brendan Hansen or Brandon Tycro in Yankton today.
Looking for fuel or more? Stop by Triple Time Rudy's, your locally owned convenience store at 17th and Broadway. At Triple Time Rudy's, they're proud to support the community, offering fuel discounts to Yankton's largest employers and backing local activities and events. Inside, you'll discover regional favorites like Dimmick Cheese and premium meats from the Kaler and Renner lockers. Whether it's a quick snack, a tank of top-quality fuel, or a taste of local goodness, Triple Time Rudy's, fueling your day, fueling the community.
We've got football fever at Lewis and Clark Ford. And with the Bucks and Lancers, we got a lot to cheer about. Yankton fans are also cheering the great lineup at Lewis and Clark Ford. Our roster of brand new Fords begins with the quarterback, the F-150, the speedy receiver, the Mustang, the hard-working lineman, the Ford Super Duty truck, and the star running back, the Bronco. See our team at lewisandclarkford.com or at our playing field, 4th and Capitol, Yankton.
Allison just won a popularity contest.
Oh, thank you.
You're almost as popular as the Runza Southwest Chicken Salad.
Oh, what? Because it has crispy chicken, shredded cheddar, tortilla strips, taco seasoning, and salsa?
And Southwest Ranch. And yes,
I'd be more popular if I came with Southwest Ranch.
We all would. Come get the Southwest Chicken Salad at Runza today. Because from the way we make it to the way it makes you feel, Runza makes it all better.
All right, back here on the Lancer Locker on KYNT. Let's go ahead and go now to the head coach of the Mount Marty University football program. Thank you to Joe Chicks, by the way, for coming in and talking with us a little earlier. But let's now welcome in John Michaletti, head coach of Mount Marty University football, 3-0 on the year, and a top 10 win under your belt, Coach. First things first, that's got to be a good win. That had to feel good.
Yeah, it feels great, to obviously open up our home opener with a win, but to be a ranked opponent and beat somebody we haven't beat yet, and not only that, but a national powerhouse as well. It's one of those that we're a team we're constantly observing, making sure that we make strides to beat them, but we're running them in the recruiting game and all that stuff quite a bit. So it's already starting to help a little bit. So that's nice.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the game itself. 24-14, and this was a low-scoring game, especially at halftime. You end up going into the half up 10-0, holding the number 7 team in the nation to 0 points at halftime. Their passing stats a bit rough, obviously. Bo Bush went 6 of 16 in the first half, 36 yards with an interception in there, and that was all. So what was going on in the passing game that you really prepped for all week long? You must have saw something you were able to take advantage of.
Yeah, there was a few tendencies that were tipped off in film, but you didn't want to dive too much into those because they only had that one game. It was just the Waldorf game, and sometimes when not knocking Waldorf, but Northwestern probably felt pretty comfortable going into that game that you can sometimes put some false tendencies out there, for teams to try to pick up on something, and really that's not what you're trying to do. So we were a little bit cautious on that part, and But our defense, our whole team did a great job complimenting each other. But talking about the defensive part, the defensive line getting pressure on the quarterback and all that. Then linebackers getting hands on at the second level. You've seen Cole Cripps with a bunch of tip balls, Brock Lubers with a bunch of tip balls. Just getting in the way, and then on the back end, I couldn't emphasize enough just staying on top. Those are some of the toughest receivers we'll play all year. Making sure that they can't take the top off and live for the next down. So we did give up quite a bit of those 10-yard outs and things like that, but make them drive the field on you was our main thing. If they're going to score on us, they're going to have to put 13, 14 plays together to try to drive on us. And as I mentioned to you before, is one thing we talk about the team a lot is it's our defense versus their defense. It's our offense versus their offense, and our special teams versus their special teams. So having that and knowing that their defense is very solid, our guys wanted to go prove themselves. And I couldn't say enough nice things about those defensive linemen up front. Lane Ferguson had a heck of a day. I know his stat line wasn't huge, but it was constantly resetting the line of scrimmage and getting quarterback hurries, which then allowed DJ Brown to get going. And I know right from the get-go, he let him know he was going to be there with a nice hit on the quarterback, and Delonte Dickey getting and Bryson Mitchell getting in on a sack in a very crucial time. It was special for that group. So I like to be able to see defense fix the little things there in the second half. Obviously at halftime, having a 0 points is awesome, but I think they had like 64 total yards was even more remarkable. And then being able to keep that team under 60 some yards for the total game of rushing was awesome. So still got to find ways to improve, and compliment some of those big plays at the end of the game are the ones that are kind of sticking with me. And I think a lot of those might have been guys starting to get tired. So we got to make sure we're doing a better job of prepping guys for games like that. And we made sure that the food and the water and the electrolytes and all that stuff were there, but maybe some extra conditioning or something like that for those guys.
The reward for beating a top 10 team is get on the line.
Yeah, they have to, though, and that's the one thing that I was happy to see after the game is, some of the leadership groups, like, guys, like, this isn't, a shock to anybody in this room. Like, this is what we came here to do. This is what we wanted, and if you want more, we got to make sure we move on. It's great to celebrate and see where you're at with certain things and to give positive feedback for what we've been doing, but you got to move on. Otherwise, Briarcliff might knock you off, or, the next team might get you. So we got to make sure that we move on to the next team and allow things to sort out themselves that way.
You mentioned a couple of things there that I want to go back and talk about. We're going to start a couple minutes ago. You mentioned some of the deflected passes, especially by your linebackers throughout the game, a couple from your DBs as well. I think this is a comment I made during the game while we were calling it on air. I said some of these defensive players from Mount Marty are actually going to be sick when they watch back the film. Just so many missed interceptions.
Yes.
There were a lot of turnovers left out on the field, Coach.
Yeah, Amir Conley had a heck of a game. It's the best game he's ever had, and he could have been the defensive player of the week and nationally if he would have reeled in a few of those interceptions there. So I guess everybody can make the joke that's why he plays defense, right? Because he can't catch a cold there. But no, it was good to at least break the things up and have the ball go our way a few times on those. So yeah, definitely would like to make sure that we have a few more of those turnovers, and that was a huge emphasis that we have going in our defensive meeting today and defensive practice. The first thing is going to be a turnover circuit. So
let's talk a little bit about Briarcliff. As you mentioned, you can't have, we've seen it in national, happens all the time. Team gets a big upset, they get a really good win, and then they lose focus the next week. A little bit of a hangover from beating that really good team. And you mentioned you really got to focus on Briarcliff. Have you kind of mentioned that to your players of, hey, lock back in, let's get back to work?
We have to, and I think it's perfectly been set up because, what we talked about last week was success can breed complacency, and yes, it's perceived success having a win against a top-ranked opponent, but not taking anything away from Northwestern or our guys, like that's a preseason ranking. Like they have no in-season rankings yet, so that's a lot based off of last year. So we got to make sure that we don't know I care about what ranked at the end of the year. That's my biggest focus is making sure we move on to this next week because you don't get an end of the year ranking if you worried about the end of the year. You got to move on to the next week. And as I mentioned, there's got to be a lot of things to be cleaned up. Yes, there's good stuff. And that should provide that, yes, you're doing the right things and you can trust your teammate, love your teammate. Your commitment to this program is awesome, but you got to reel back in and then look at what Briarcliff's doing and what we can do to stop them this week.
We'll talk a little bit more about Briarcliff as the week goes on, Coach, but let's turn late game. You mentioned a couple of big plays for them. Biggest play came from your guy, Arthur Oliver, back in the end zone. Great pass rush, under 2 minutes to go. Forced Colby Duncan out to his right, throws on the run. Oliver brings it down, under 2 minutes. They had only a single timeout left. That about sealed it, Coach. Yeah, that was a great play.
That was awesome, and Arthur prepares better than anyone. You know, he'll have pages of notes coming into our first meeting each and every week, into our scouting report meetings. He'll come in later that week and be like, hey, these are tendencies I picked up on. The guy switches his foot or he buckles his chin strap, you know, like this tees off this. There's so many details that he picks up on. And I felt bad because I always try to think of players in certain situations, you know, especially in those key situations. It's not about the coaches or anything like that. Like, hey, what do our players feel comfortable with? And at the end of the game, we were running a bunch of man, and you could see our guys were starting to get pretty winded, you know. And I'm like, yeah, they're in a track meet where they're obviously one-dimensional now, and every pass or every play is going to be a pass. And we were at that high red zone part, and I was like, I'm going to give them a break here, guys. I was like, we're going to go cover 2, and then they hit a crease right across the middle there. And I was like, man, that was a bad call on my part. And I was like, let's get right back to what's been working this whole time and getting back into a man shell, and leaned on Coach Heck a little bit there. I was like, do you want to go with our normal red zone coverage, or do you want to go with a high hole cover 1 here? And he was like, I like to have that extra protection there across the middle. Let's go with the high hole cover 1. So went with it, and Arthur was in man coverage. He wasn't the high hole guy there, and just made an outstanding play there, and exactly what you coach to do, be able to go high point the ball. And beautiful picture that's kind of been, you know, wrapping itself around the internet there, and that the newspaper had and all that stuff. So it's a special moment for him, special moment for our players, and it's good when you see hard work start to pay off for him.
So let's go back and focus on this week. Besides Briarcliff, with your team internally, is there anything specific, any message or specific thing you're going to focus on in practice this week besides making sure they get their conditioning in?
Yeah, that's the main thing is keeping them humble. You know, I love, you know, I'm sure you've picked up on quite a bit just hanging around the last 5 years, but I love to keep a fun atmosphere. You know, I like when guys are smiling and enjoying their time, because it is a lot of hard work to play college football and even harder work to win a college football game. But in the end, we got to stay focused on the task at hand, and the task at hand is Briarcliff this week and making sure we keep that Catholic Cup home. So, you know, controlling the controllables, making sure that I'm assuming Briarcliff's going to come out with some few trick plays. They have a few very talented players that we got to make sure that we don't lose them on the field. And I know that they got a target on our backs for the last couple of years of taking advantage of games at the end there. So, and I got a lot of respect for Coach Ladaghi. He's a great coach, and I know he's doing a great job of building that program back up.
Coach, one more thing I want to ask you about. Now, we are recording this a little bit earlier in the day because you got practice, I think, starting at 4:30 or so, and you got team meetings at 3 or so. So we're not able to get this the exact right at time. But as of this moment, 1 o'clock, the new rankings have not come out yet. But everybody is expecting Mount Marty to either be on there or one of the first teams receiving votes. And no matter what, either way, that's history. That's got to be pretty nice. Can you tell me what that means for this team that is in only 5 years of existence?
Yeah, it was a special moment. Obviously, after the game, there's a lot of text messages and phone calls and things like that. But the special ones that really stuck with me were the guys from the last few years, you know, and showing their pride. And they're calling me like, Coach, I was crying, you know, like watching the game. It was awesome, you know. And it's just like, because that's what it's all about, is about the family. And it was so hard to talk to those guys while they were going through it. You know, like, guys, this is going to be something that you continuously invest into it. It'll pay off. It'll probably be after your time, but it's going to pay off. And those guys trusting it, you know, having a little faith in that, knowing that it's okay, that I'll be the sacrificial lamb for everybody else, you know, and opening up the doors for everybody else. And that's exactly, you know, kind of a small glimpse of what that is. So, you know, the John Carlsteads, the Gabe Baptistas, you know, all those guys that were texting me. I had Cade Manzanares from a few years ago, you know, Drew Pendleton, you know, from our first couple of years. We're all reaching out and, you know, showing their love for Lancer football. That's exactly what it's about. And then I was talking to a few of the administration as well, and you did such a great job calling the game. And I was like, it's not really about that. It's bigger than that. It's the players that have built this program. It's the administration that continuously dumps resources into making sure that the football is led the right way, because you use plenty of examples of team starting programs or school starting programs that don't invest into it, and they can kind of see what happened. In order to get a good return on your investment, you got to invest into that, and that's exactly what Mount Marty's done, and I'm very thankful for that.
Coach, let me just say, it is incredibly admirable the way that you have gotten your teammate, your players, and your coaching staff, everybody to buy into what you just said, the process of the last couple of years, to get an entire community that there was no football 5 years ago in town to now they're showing up every week and really supporting you, and you're near the top of the conference every year in attendance. It has really been something to watch the way you have been able to handle this. So congratulations on this win, and really look forward to this season.
I appreciate it, Tel. It means a lot.
All right, let's go ahead and finish up the Lancer Locker. We'll come back in a couple of minutes and finish things. Take a look at our upcoming schedule. This is KYNT.
Those are the sounds of loyal companions looking for a new home and family. The Heartland Humane Society has dogs and cats looking to become a new member of your family, ready for adoption today. Every animal available for adoption is vaccinated, spayed or neutered, microchipped, and dewormed, saving you over $200 or more in vet care while giving you a loyal friend. Come visit all available animals at 3400 East Highway 50 Yankton or online at heartlandhumanesociety.net.
Looking for a job that works for you? Join our team at Parker of Yankton. We're hiring second shift assemblers and other positions, offering competitive wages, a night shift pay differential, great health insurance, paid time off, and retirement benefits that help secure your future. Enjoy steady hours, a supportive team, and opportunities to advance. Whether you're building your skills or bringing years of experience, you'll find a place where you can grow and succeed. Apply today and start enjoying the benefits you deserve.
Parker, engineering your success.
Sherco, the industry leader in tarping, has done it again with the release of the all-new Sherlock E-Series electric tarp. The E-Series features fully assembled front and rear arm, a pre-wired sealed control box, and Sherco's exclusive SmartWire sealed harness for quick and easy installation. Operate the E-Series with the SureLink EZR remote or by your smartphone using the SureLink app. Add more time to your day with the Sherlock E-Series. To learn more, contact your authorized Sherco distributor or find us at Sherco.com. Demand the best. Demand Sherco.
Buying or selling a home is a big decision. Work with someone who knows the ins and outs. I'm Deb Speck with Vision Real Estate, and with 20 years of experience, I will focus on the details while providing marketing knowledge, advice on staging, and negotiating to get your home sold. From start to finish, I'll guide you through the process, making sure nothing is overlooked. Call me, Deb Speck, Vision Real Estate, 605-664-5555.
Beef, pork, seafood, poultry, and more, all at the Meat Lodge in Yankton. Get top quality meats at great prices. They have specialty items like lamb, brisket, bison, mahi-mahi, crab legs, and lobster. They even have non-meat options like Dimmick cheese, pickled items, seasonings, and sauces. The Meat Lodge in Yankton on the way to the lake on Highway 52. For more, call 689-3000 or go to themeatlodge.com.
All right, back here on the Lancer Locker on KYNT. It's time to get up out of here. I've gone over my time as usual. But thank you to Joe Chicks and for John Michaletti for coming in and talking with me today as we roll over some pretty big things. The women's soccer program, obviously, that new head coach who's starting things off pretty strong there. And then John Micheletti's football program, which is really starting to get things together. 3-0 on the season. Once again, Briarcliff University on Saturday, 6 o'clock. From Crane Youngworth Field. I'll have the action of that myself along with Steve Toom as usual on KYNTV. Also coming up this Wednesday evening on KYNTV, Mount Marty University Volleyball. 7 o'clock will be pregame, first serve 7:30 versus Hastings inside the Simple Arena here in Yankton. I've got that call myself. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Thank you to Joe Chicks and John Michaletti for coming in and talking with us. I hope you all enjoyed this edition of the Lancer Locker, and we will see y'all for more Lancer events in the future. Good night, everybody.